Welcome back to the Highway 49 podcast. We are back with episode 96 of the show. The gang took a couple weeks off, holiday season, and kind of planning out what we're going to do with this pod in 2025. But we are back this week. Have a special guest coming on in a little bit. That's Henry Rutledge, kick returner, punt returner, and running back for the Charlotte 49ers. Excited to have Henry on. But as always, before we dive in, let's hit the best thing we've seen this week. Hannah, what you got?
Oh, I've seen a lot of really good things in the past week. I mean, the best thing for me, I think, would have to be this past Saturday. I was at Wake Forest. They played NC State and they absolutely dominated. It was super fun day. It was all black day, so the whole community was out there. I just love the fan base there. It's a bunch of alumni and they're just so passionate about the university, and so they really get into it. But super fun day of in arena hosting. Had a lot of fun, had a few in-game challenges and things. Got some photos for the first time. So it was super fun day. So just really grateful for that opportunity. But yeah, a lot of fun things happening in 2025. Crazy to say. But that's the best thing that I have seen this week. Jeremy, what you got?
I don't know if you guys can hear this. Sorry, there's like a washer that sounds like a tornado in the background. So I'm gonna just keep talking. Best thing I've seen, seeing Hunter, first time I've seen him in a while, and Jerry Donashian. Hopefully I pronounced your last name right. We were at the Hornets Suns game, media there, and let me just say, watching Kevin Durant warm up is a spiritual experience. We're two
Yeah.
feet away from the guy, watching him and David Fizdale go through warm ups, and David Fizdale's giving him some tips and pointers and stuff. And one of the shots he had, I was speechless. Like Hunter and I just looked at each other and didn't say anything because it truly is like watching art in real life. It was really cool to see. And then the Hornets were able to top it off and get the W. You know, all the starters were in the lineup for the first time, and I can't tell you how long. And it was just an overall good experience. And it makes you think like 70% of the league experiences this on a night to night basis. But for us to get that night with that team in town and that player in town was really cool. But that's the best thing I've seen. And then Jerry, he was sick, so he was back for the first game in a few weeks, right? So it was good to see him. Just a good environment on that. What was it? Monday? Tuesday.
Tuesday night. Yeah.
Yeah. So overall, it was just good. That's the best thing I've seen for the week.
Yeah, I'll piggyback on that. That was probably the most fun I've had at the Hornets game this year. Uh, getting to watch Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, two Olympic gold medalists. KD's got the most ever, I believe. Could be incorrect, but he's got four of them. And then watching the Hornets play sound basketball. LaMelo was basically playing with an earbud in the whole game. You know how he does. And then it was just a good time after the game too. Post game was a lot of fun. Very comical. And then NFL playoffs going on this weekend. Just awesome weekend of football. Thursday night, actually today, kicks off college football playoff, the Final Four basically, and then that leads right into NFL wild card weekend. So a lot of fun coming up, a lot of good games, and man, I can't wait.
Yeah, quick shout out to Shane Connick in the post game presser. We're waiting for Melo and Shane gets a question in. And you know Shane, he's just always in good spirits. That guy is it's not just a reporter voice. Like you'll run into Shane walking to the Hornets arena. He's like, "Jeremy, how are you?" And I'm like, "Man, you just made my day. Like I'm awake now. I was a little, like going through the motions, but shout out to Shane because Mello was like, "Man, I love your voice, man." That was cool just to see him get a shout out there. And I told him, I'm like, "Dude, you're gonna wake up tomorrow. That's gonna be everywhere." And lo and behold, it was everywhere. So shout out to Shane, and it's just cool to see that's how post games go when the Hornets are able to get a win. Because if they lose, it goes completely differently.
Yeah, you get dubbed maybe. Uh, but yeah, man, Hornets getting back on track. They're starting a West Coast road trip tonight. They play the Lakers if that game is played. We do want to say praying for everyone on the West Coast. It's a very rough situation, and there's nothing that we can do personally, but just want to pass along those condolences. But yeah, Hornets are on a long road trip. They come back to Charlotte the 20th to take on Dallas. That's Martin Luther King Day. That's actually a noon tip. So that'll be a fun game for sure. But heading back to the Charlotte 49ers, Tim Albin's been a busy man. He's got a full staff now. for the most part, I assume there will be a couple more analysts here and there. You kind of things like that kind of trickle through the off season. But I want to read some of these names. I haven't done a deep dive yet. Like I say, we took some time off. But here are some of those positions. So we'll start on the offensive side of the ball. OC Todd Fitch. He's coming from LSU, where he was an analyst this past year, but he's been the OC at ECU, South Florida, Boston College, Louisiana Tech, and Vanderbilt. Most recently, Vanderbilt in 2019, and then he actually served as the interim head coach for one game there. So shout out Todd Fitch. Looking forward to meeting him. And of the, I'd say 15, 16 staff members, 8 total coaches, including Albin, are from Ohio. So this is a big Ohio jump. A lot of those guys are coming here. And there's 3 from the SEC. Assistant head coach, special teams coordinator, and running backs coach. And we'll talk to Henry Rutledge about this. Is Brian Haynes coming over from Ohio? Recruiting coordinator and tight ends coach Brian Metz, also Ohio. Like I said, it's going to be a lot of Ohio folks. We'll get to the defensive side of the ball. And Nate Faines is the DC. I believe that's how you pronounce his last name. So he spent really his entire coaching career with Ohio, going from basically a defensive GA in 2016 to co-defensive coordinator in 2024. Be interesting to see how that works out because they're doing co-DCs here along with Kurt Maddox, also coming from Ohio. So, like I say, ton of Ohio blood coming down. Jake Miller, he's coming from UCLA, is the strength coach. He's going to replace Louis Corrala, and Coach Corrala actually ended up at Rice, so shout out to him, friend of the pod. And then a couple more folks. Like I say, I'm not going to read all these names. We'll kind of get through that as that time comes. But good to see a staff being completely filled out now. They've been on the recruiting trail. They've got Grayson Loftus, quarterback from Duke, Connor Harrell coming from North Carolina. So a lot of exciting pieces coming together. And like I say, we're going to take this off season and dive in on those. But for the most part, today is all about Henry Rutledge. We're going to go ahead and get to him, the main man of the hour, coming on the pod. So appreciate Henry for making the time, and thanks for listeners for tuning in. We'll be back soon.
Are you ready to elevate your school spirit? Look no further than onecampusco.com. Whether you're in the classroom, on the field, or cheering from the stands, we're dedicated to bringing academics, athletics, alumni, and fans together. Founded by our alumni-owned parent company, One Chapter, in 2021, we recognize the need for quality apparel at reasonable prices and created a shopping experience that connects fans with their university. Join us in showcasing your pride and giving back to your community. With onecampusco.com, you're not just a student, athlete, or fan, you're part of a vibrant family. Together, let's celebrate what makes our university special. Visit us at www.charlotte.onecampusco.com using promo code HWY49 for 10% off.
Henry Rutledge, man, appreciate the time. Appreciate you coming on the pod. It's been a long time coming. We've been long fans of yours on this pod.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. I'll let Hannah get into it in a minute, but like I said, we've long been a fan of yours on the pod, and I'll speak for myself. I thought you were criminally underused last year, man. We would get mad hype when you'd get in the game. Seen you on kick returns, punt returns, and then they used you as a scat back some this past year. Um, but I'm curious with Tim Albin coming in, you enter the portal, ultimately decided to come back to Charlotte. What went into that decision to ultimately change your mind?
There was a lot that went into the decision. The main part was, I mean, it's a new coaching staff. Like you never really know what's gonna happen. So I was just like a little scared. But like the more I learned about the coaching staff, the more I learned about Coach Albin, like I felt comfortable coming back. And I've been at Charlotte like the past 4 years. It's home. Like my family lives here. Uh, like I have a community here, and I just like I want to graduate here basically. So yeah.
Yeah, Henry, you were my preseason offensive MVP. So I was really hoping every time you would be able to touch the ball a little bit more. But I'm curious, what are your thoughts on Coach Albin and the staff that he has pulled together for this coming season? And what was that moment like meeting him for the first time?
Yeah. So Coach Album, I mean, he knows how to win, obviously. Like he wins games. He won a championship this previous year. That's really I mean, that's really all that matters in football, like wins. Um, but like he's also like a good guy. Like the way he was gonna run the program, I feel like that's gonna be better than how Biff was running the program. I feel like having accountability, having work ethic and like discipline, like all that's gonna like win games, and like it doesn't really matter about like too much about the talent. It's all about like the discipline and all that. And then my running backs coach, Coach Haynes, I actually had a high school teammate that played for him at App State, and he said Haynes he's a good running backs coach. Like he knows what he's talking about. He knows ball. He also coaches special teams, which is kind of what Coach Fro did, which is my previous running backs coach. So I'm familiar with that. Like I'll be able to play running back and play special teams a lot too. So I'm excited.
Going off Hannah's question a little bit, I remember introductory press conference for Tim Albin. He says, "Hey, I'm not trying to, do what Dion did and bring all my guys from Ohio and try to replace the system at Charlotte." He wanted to walk into that locker room, look you guys in the eyes, and say, "Hey, I want all of you guys to stay here because I think we can do something special at Charlotte." What was that message that Tim Albin gave you guys from the Biff Poggi era? Those players saying, "Hey, you don't have to go into the portal to find success. The success is right here." What was that message he gave to you guys?
Um, I mean, he's here to win. He's here to kind of change what we've been doing. So, I mean, we're just excited to have him. He didn't really give like a specific, like, I mean, I wasn't really even there because like I was in the portal at the time, but like, I mean, he's just here to win. He's here to develop guys as men, as like people, and also like have a good football program. So that was like
What
the main message.
What's that been like for you? You're entering your redshirt senior year. Can you just reflect on your time at Charlotte and how you kind of went from being the young guy, to being middle of the pack, and now you're kind of that veteran old guy where people are looking at you, and you talked about Haynes being that running back coach, but also you have young guys looking at you saying, "Hey, Henry, what can I do on this play? What can I do?" You're kind of being that player's coach as well too. Can you just reflect on your time in these 4 or 5 years here?
Yeah. So I mean, it's kind of been like it's like systems. So like my first 2 years, I had the coaches. I was a young buck. I was just trying to learn as much as possible for real. With Coach Healy. Then when Coach Biff came in, that was like my redshirt sophomore and junior year, and that was when I kind of stepped into like a leadership role a little bit. Because I was one of the older guys, even though I didn't feel like it sometimes. There was just like younger guys asking me questions. We had like people like Rod Gainey, who's also coming back. I'm excited for that. We had like I was like one of the older guys in the running back room, so I did have to kind of like take a lead more of a leadership role and like help develop those guys and answer their questions, and that helped me learn too. So and yeah, and I'm just excited this year because like I get to be even in more of a leadership role as like definitely one of the older guys now. So I'm excited. I'm excited.
No doubt, man. And kind of sticking to coaches, you talked about committing to Will Healy in 21, play for him for a couple years, Biff for a couple years, and now Tim Albin. Just in your brief introductions and conversations with Tim, what are some of those similarities and differences? Because I mean, you've had kind of like the young guy at the one end of the spectrum, then you got the older guy, and now you got, I guess, middle-aged guy that's definitely seems like he knows ball.
Yeah. I think he knows ball a lot more than Biff. Um, Biff was really just. I mean, I don't want to speak bad about Biff. I like Biff.
Yeah.
He was a good coach. I feel like like Tim he knows how to win a lot more, and he knows actually how to run the program instead of like just being the face of it. So um,
And that's the thing too, going
and
from someone that hasn't been a head coach in college football to someone that's climbed the ladder in college football and then won consistently for multiple years. So I totally understand what you're saying.
yeah. What was the rest of that question?
Just some of the similarities and differences, like from Healy, like I say, going from that young guy to the older guy to now you're
He was really energetic. I like Healy as a coach. Yeah, he was young, but he's at ETSU now, I think. He's so I know a couple guys that are going over there, but yeah, Healy was different, and then it was like almost a complete shift from Biff. Everything became like a lot more serious. Um, like, and then because like I feel like our team was closer with Healy, then Biff, like all these new guys came, and it was like we're still had like camaraderie, but it like wasn't the same. But it was like yeah, just more high stakes. But I don't really know what Coach Albin's gonna entail, but just seeing who he's bringing in and like how he says he's gonna run the program, I'm excited.
Now, Henry, in your time as a Charlotte 49er, you set school records. We're just going to list them off here for the longest punt return yards in a game, punt return yards in a season, and punt and kick return yard single season average. What goes into your game on the field, and what kind of are some of the things that you like to showcase in your game?
Um, I mean, I would say my top thing is my speed and my acceleration. Um, I mean, I've always been fast. So I mean, I don't like people touching me, to be honest. So I just like to get as many yards as I can. Um, but I'm pretty sure I do need to gain some weight. That's been one of my problems here at Charlotte, and hopefully like the meal plans and food that's also going to be a thing with Coach Alvin. So I mean I like to showcase my speed. I like to juke people out. I like to do everything. I just like to play football for real. So I mean
I mean, we've definitely seen that every time you step out on the field, but obviously you're listed as a running back and you get more time on special teams. Did that play a factor in your decision wanting to go somewhere else? And would you like to see more playing time as a running back rather than, punt return?
um yeah. I mean I would obviously like to play more offense. I mean I played wide receiver in high school like since my freshman and sophomore year. Then I changed to running back. So like I could play wide receiver at Charlotte. I could line up in the slot. I could run. I just want the ball. Just ball in space and let me work. And I feel like I could do that here. I feel like they would give me some of the opportunities. So
Going back to that introductory press conference with Tim, he stressed how the second half of games he really wants
on the
to,
ball.
like you said, run the ball right down their
Mhm.
throat or just get people out in space like you and allow them to make plays with their skills. Can you talk about that mentality, that mindset of, hey, second half, even though we still want to get that ball in the air sometimes, we got to rely on our running backs because that ultimately takes the will of the opposing defense.
Yeah, it's really all about mentality. Like running the ball, like you have to have a strong-willed team to be able to run the ball and defend the ball. And in the second half, it's like the most important because that's like where you win the game. So him stressing running the ball in the second half to open up like the pass, I think that's really important because if you're able to run the ball in the second half, you're gonna win games. And if they can't stop you, and if you can't stop the run, then that's a problem. So I think he's building the roster to do that, and I'm excited.
You talk about taking over games in the second half, being able to run the ball. That starts with the guys up front. You guys got one of the centerpieces back, the center, Johnny King. Yeah, talk about what he means to the O line and to the offense altogether.
Yeah, I've been with Johnny the past 4 years. He's been one of my good friends. We were on second team together. We've been on first team together the past couple of years too. So, I just love him as a dude, as a friend. We always be joking around in the weight room, in the locker room. So, he's gonna be a good piece. And he's also like the anchor piece of the O line. So it's one of the most important pieces in our offense. So it's just good to have him back.
Absolutely, man. And kind of staying on that same front, not a lot of athletes now spend their entire college career at one school. I mean, I'm seeing these transfer graphics now where they're at a new school and they got four schools before that one. So for you
Yeah, it's gonna be
personally,
like the NFL intros where they say four different schools.
you just got to say high school at that point. Like,
Yeah.
but for you, man, yeah, for you, man, staying in Charlotte through your career, what does that mean to you and being so close to home?
I mean, I love Charlotte. There really wasn't that much of a motivation to leave. I mean, like, not I want to say motivation, but like, I have everything I need at Charlotte. Like, I have a good team. My family's here. Like, all my friends are here. Charlotte's a great school. It's a great campus. The academics are good. Um, so I mean, like, I have nothing to complain about, and like, I'm always doing my stuff in football. So, um, I mean, it's just like, why would I leave?
I want to touch back on what Hunter was talking about with Johnny King, you guys' relationship, and you always hear the word chemistry kind of come into play with stuff like this with the offense. And can you just talk about the chemistry, even though people always say, oh, the QB chemistry with the O-line, what's it like as a running back trying to learn the O-line and say, hey, I know Johnny likes to do this on this player. I know he'll open this gap for me at this time. What are the in and outs between that running back and O-line relationship?
Yeah, it's just hanging out with them, watching film with them, practicing with them, encouraging them. Um, I mean, you see how they work in the weight room. You see how they watch film. Like last year, we would go watch film with the O line all the time. Just see like what they're talking about, what their calls are, what they're trying to do, and we just base it off that. So, but like the more relationship part that just comes with like being around them, hanging out with them, joking with them. So.
So I just talked about constants, but I want to switch it to some of the changes we've seen at Charlotte and most notably the quarterback position since you started your career. How have you been able to navigate these past couple of years amidst so much change in that backfield with who's taking the snaps under center?
Yeah. I mean, it was easy with Chris Reynolds, obviously. We all love Chris. Then when Jay Jones came in and Trex was kind of running the show when Biff's first year, it was a little harder then. But I mean they were all good guys. I love Trex too. Um, but it's I mean it's just you just gotta be like you just gotta do your job as a running back because I mean they'll hand the ball off to you. They won't always see you on like check down routes, but I mean, if they hand the ball to you, like just you and the O line go do your job.
I gotta ask you, man, because it is a couple months ago now, but doesn't feel that long ago. Could you believe that UAB missed those two kicks back to back?
No, bro, no, that was crazy. I was like, no, we were praying, we were doing everything. That was the craziest ending of a game of a season I've seen. So like I was in disbelief for like at least a week. I mean,
What was your
that,
reaction when that penalty was called? They're like, "Oh man, they get another shot at it." What are you
Yeah.
there
thinking?
was a video of me like running on the field, and then I was like running, and then I had to go back on the sideline, and they had to kick it again. So I was really excited. Then I was like, oh shoot, they have to re-kick. Oh, we about to lose, and then he missed it again. Then we went crazy. So it was just like oh, so much emotion. Like it was crazy. It was
And
fun
you,
though.
oh yeah, no, that was probably I'd say the most fun home game of the year. One of
Mhm.
them. I do gotta ask, obviously a lot of change since then, but winning those last two games, do you feel like that gives the program some momentum to kind of turn the corner going into 2025?
Yeah, it does. I feel like winning the last two games and winning five games like overall in the season, we were really two games away from a bowl game. So we just gotta put some pieces together, be more consistent, be more disciplined, and we'll definitely be a lot better this year.
For you personally, sticking with the theme of the New Year's, do you have any New Year's resolutions for yourself? Any goals? I know you talked about needing to put on some more weight this year, but what are some of the goals that you have for yourself this season?
Kind of just develop myself more. Learn as much as I can. Probably learn more receiver a little bit. Also yeah, gain weight, stay fast. Uh, I'm gonna try to start running in the morning by myself. Just keep my conditioning and cardio up so I could play full games and like do all that and not get injured. So
What do
that's
you
my New
what
Year's.
are you listening to when you're running? What's the go-to song?
I listen to all types of music. I don't really have like a specific taste. My playlist consists of like rap, Ariana Grande, just like
Oh, okay.
everything under the sun. It's crazy.
I love that. A man of many musical tastes.
Yeah. Mhm.
Obviously, there's a lot to choose from next season with all of the different opponents that Charlotte is facing. But is there any game in particular that you already have circled on your calendar?
I mean, Chapel Hill.
You got
Then
Bill
nothing to hear
Belichick
Bill
coming to
Belichick. I
town.
mean, who can't be excited for that? And I know a lot of the guys over there at Chapel Hill, and we played them last year, um, and we got their quarterback. We got one of their quarterbacks. So I mean, it's gonna be like a personal game. It's gonna be like North Carolina school. So I'm excited for that game the most, and also Georgia, obviously. That's all. That's yeah. That's always gonna be fun, just being able to play against the top teams like that.
We just talked about how, a lot of guys sometimes Hunter said the graphic where there's three, four schools in the bottom right in the graphic. But Henry, you've been a constant for this Charlotte team, not just for the team, but for the school itself. When people think of the 49ers, one of the first people that comes to mind right now, right, is Henry Rutledge. What does that mean to you? And have you seen some like support from Niner Nation and do you have a message for them knowing, hey, I've stuck through it through thick and thin, and this is where I want to be. And it's kind of rewarding to see the fan base also pour that love back to you.
Yeah, it is. When I announced I was coming back, I got a lot of messages from just fans and people just happy that they were happy that I was back. And um, I mean, it's just always good to have a city that likes you and you like the city and you've been here and they've just been supportive. So I'm always excited when we play at home and when I see all those fans and I see all those like supporters. So I mean, I just love Charlotte.
Absolutely, man. And last thing, we'll get you out of here. I need a college football playoff champion prediction and a Super Bowl champ, man. What you got?
Super Bowl champ. That's gonna. I want the Lions to win. My dad's from Michigan. He's from like Clark. Yeah, he's from that area. I Jameer Gibbs too. I always like if I play. I always feel like I play like him. Sometimes, and then for college football, that's hard. I'd say I'm gonna take Texas. I'm gonna take Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna take Texas.
I
Yeah.
like that pick.
Hot take. Yeah, we're gonna see though.
Got some those games kick off tonight, man. It's gonna be a good final. But Henry, man, we appreciate the time, appreciate you coming on the pod, and looking forward to watching you in 2025, man.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you for having me.